Welcome back to the Football Pundits. We've taken a small break from our regular videos, but we are back. We have Alok and Raihan with us from India Spurs. We were going to do this video about a week back, and maybe it would have been on a much more positive and flowery note. But like we saw on Twitter, when someone asked who can get Spurs down now, and most of the replies were, "Don't worry, Spurs will do it to themselves." So, guys, let's do this in 3 segments, right? Let's firstly talk about what you've seen in the first 4 game weeks, and is this what you all expected?
No, but yes. If you had asked me this last week, I would have said absolutely not. But sort of, I think the loss against Crystal Palace has been a massive equalizer. Obviously, Nuno, we had problems. We had like 6-7 players out from the squad. Dire injuries, unfortunate. Tanganga's red card. I felt Zaha should have also been sent off. Was kind of unfortunate. We didn't have anybody on the bench. We had only Brian Hill and Ndombele who could have made a difference. But still, I think it sort of equalized in a way what we had done, because I don't think we pick up a win against Chelsea. So I think it's been an equalizer. I think we're gonna. So kind of what I expected in terms of points. I would have expected us to be 9 points out of 12 at this point, but I would have expected the loss to be City and not Palace.
Alok, he said the last bit, right? He expected the loss to be City, not Palace. And from what we know about Spurs, I expected exactly what happened. I expected you all to somehow do a Son goal against City and lose to a Crystal Palace, right? International break, momentum was good. Show up after the international break, all goes downhill.
Definitely. This is classic Spurs. Last year also, when we had that prediction video with Harsh, and we told you, there was like that massive, the month of November that we had, at City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I mean, all of those games were just back to back. And the prediction was like, we'll beat Arsenal, we'll beat City, probably draw against Liverpool, but we're definitely going to lose against Crystal Palace. And I think that's what happened even then, December 1st week. It's just classic Spurs. I think the kind of that the whatever was happening even before the game, that Spursiness started right from there, where the whatever happened with Lo Celso and Romero, like it's the farcical thing that police come on the pitch and stop the game, and then your 2 main players are involved in that. Then you had Davinson Sanchez to South America, and even he had to quarantine. Stone's injury. Everything was just telling us that we are going to lose against Crystal Palace. But I somehow had hopes because new signing Emerson Royal probably making some some impact there. Didn't happen. I think Dyer's injury killed us in that game. But otherwise, shambolical performance. But I think it's still very early to say. We have, even in the first few seasons, we saw Poch, and in the Poch era, the football was draws. Twitter was always asking then that, is this the high press games that we were promised by Daniel Levy? So the similar kind of arguments were made even then, but then we know how it progressed into. So I think too early to say, but overall it's just proper Spursy start to the season.
I think I was annoyed. I was annoyed that we lost, and especially I was annoyed that we lost in the manner that we did.
Right.
3-0 actually till they got that penalty. Even after the red card, we were defending pretty well. And if you could say what was one good thing you could take away till like the 75th minute, till that penalty, was the way we were defending.
Yep.
But obviously once the penalty went in, I would have liked to have seen an attacking change. So the thing that annoyed me the most, that I would definitely like to see change over the next couple of games, is he needs to react faster. I think it was a problem with Poch at the end, and it was a problem probably with Jose in all the games we weren't doing well. I think he didn't react fast enough. For example, he would only take the Newcastle game where I think we drew 2-2, right? He only brought in Bale when they scored the second goal, when Newcastle equalized with like 2 minutes left. I mean, Bale's not going to do much with 2 minutes, right? So I think most Spurs managers have this issue. He needs to change that. He needs to be. I would have liked to see that Brian Hill substitution he was preparing when Tanganga got the red card to be 10 minutes earlier. I would have wanted to see a change at halftime. We were playing three defensive midfielders against Palace who had not got a point so far. So I think obviously injuries and the red card, it was unfortunate. I don't think it's a example of how we're going to play this season or how this season is going to go. But I think some things that have worried me so far in the 4 games, even in the games we won, is um, our creativity. I don't think we've created enough. Uh, Obviously, without Bergwijn and Son and Kane, basically they haven't played together this season properly because I think it was only one game against Watford. But I'd like to see more creativity. And unfortunately, I don't think Dele can provide that. I think Dele is a good player in that central midfield role, but I think he needs to be rotated for some games with probably someone like Ndombele or Lo Celso, and either of those players have to, or even Brian Hill playing in midfield, who's the one player that can really that he has no fear. He plays fearlessly. He plays like how Delhi used to
Do you
play
think
a couple of seasons back.
it's too soon? Like, so let's talk about Nuno also in this context, right? Because you said that you want to see these changes from him, and it's a Spurs manager trait you've not seen in the last. You've seen in the last two managers as well. See, it's only 4 games into the new season, though, right? So a lot of the signings that have been made via Petrigi, right? The players you spoke about, Emerson Royal, Ryan Gill, Christian Romero, they're all very new signings, right? They've not got much training to do with the current manager. The manager himself, right? He's known to be very method driven, like a Mourinho. He's very result oriented, which is why he had a good reputation in the Premier League, not for the style of football, but for getting those results against the big dogs as well. But kind of struggling against the smaller sides because the kind of football he plays and the way he had a side set up, right? Yes, he had Raul Jimenez, he had Adama Traore. Adama Traore, look, the player he is, could have been, obviously needs more output himself. For the talent he has, I don't see it. But now you look at that and do a control C, control V into the Spurs squad, right? You have your Lucas Mouras, you have your Bergwijns, you have a Dele Allis, you have all the guys who are your potential. You have a Harry Kane, right? It's Harry Kane and Raul Jimenez right there. They have backups to them, but they don't really ever use the backups. It's not just a Nuno right now. No other manager in the past. You had Llorentes, you had your striker last year, Vinicius as well, right? What happened, right? It's just the way Spurs kind of also are, right? So let's say that it's telling that somehow without Son, you look even more toothless, even though Kane was on the pitch, right? He wasn't able to affect the game. Do you think that Nuno is going to provide you with a better footballing style, a more attacking footballing style? Or do you think that Nuno is always going to be the kind of guy like we saw in the first 3 games? If the results going your way, he will teach Spurs to be a better defensive unit and shut shop and get results and not care about football.
Yeah,
I think we'll probably go ahead, Alok.
Yeah, I think we knew what we were getting when we got Nuno. We know he's Jose 2.0. It's always gonna be that, but there was this little hope that after Jose, it will be something better because we have seen Wolves play electric football at times, of course, because of Adama Traore and the pace that they have in their wingers. We knew that, probably that is something that we'll find more. It's just too early to say. I think we are just 4 games into the season. These players have had third or fourth manager in the last 2 years, so there's a lot of unlearning to do, and then pick new things up. Because if you see, the problem right now is that the off the ball movement is not really good enough, so that whenever the player receives a ball, he has no options to play to. I think this will now start happening because Nuno will start working on those. I mean, he must have already started, but of course, this is the off the ball movement and understanding how the gameplay is gonna go. I think that's the last thing that probably the players will pick up. So slowly, as they start making those little runs in those half spaces, probably is when we'll be able to see Nuno's style perfectly. I think Brian Hill is really important for that. If he plays and he gets into those those little half spaces around the box, then we'll see the impact. So it's too early to say for me.
I think I also agree. I do think that we will end up seeing both those aspects. I think we will, in games like, for example, on Sunday, I expect us to be defensive. And I can understand why in the first 3 games Nuno had to play that way, even when we played Wolves and when we played Watford, because Kane wasn't integrated into the team. Kane apart from being the main scorer, is also our main creator when someone like Ndombele or Lo Celso are not playing. So I think he really relied on the fluidity between Lucas, Son, and Bergwijn in the first two games, and then even the fluidity between Bergwijn and Son and Kane in the third game against Watford. And I think that fluidity is a very counter-attacking setup. I think that he had to use because of the Kane situation. I think now going forward, he'll be able to implement a more possession-based, more sort of attacking system. And I think even in Jose's first half season, this was something I had been saying to people then, was that our team had a Ndombele-sized hole in it, and even now, then you could have said it was an Ericsson-sized hole because Ericsson had just left, but now there's an Ndombele-sized hole, which, obviously there are massive doubts over Ndombele. I like him as a player, but I have massive doubts. I know Alok has the same doubts about his fitness, about his attitude, about his determination. So at the end of the day, you want a player that is fighting for the badge. But, I think if there's one player that can really get us performing, get us from a 1-0 victory to a 3-0 victory, it's Ndombele, because we need that player that can play the balls into Bergwijn, Son, and Kane and break down and control the midfield. Which, I mean, we were just from the off on Saturday, we were Gallagher and Crystal Palace's midfield just had us completely all over the place. And the only player I felt that sort of did any justice to his position was Højbjerg. He was trying at least. Winks, I just don't understand how he still makes it into the Premier League starting 11 whenever he gets a chance.
If not that, I would love to see Ndombele coming off in the second half and be that super sub. I know it will be a very, very expensive super sub, but if he can't sustain for 90 minutes, I would want him to come on for those 30 minutes, make that magic happen in the last third, and probably that will work, because I had read an article, because of the way he moves, it's a lot of ice hockey type of a movement that he does, because of which his knees are actually getting tired more and more. And that is why it's really not sustainable for him to play for 90 minutes. So play for 30 and make that magic happen.
The actual perfect use of Ndombele we've seen was actually when Jose used to use him for 60 minutes in the beginning of last season. He would use him till the 60th minute, no matter how the guy was playing, whether he was putting in the performance of his life or not. 60th minute, he walked off and Lo Celso came on. And that really benefited us, because Lo Celso is that high energy player, right? Who can provide the press, who can, hustle the ball out of the other team. And from the 60th to the 90th minute, he was very effective. And from 0 to 60, Ndombele was effective. So I think that's the way to use those two players, in my opinion.
Look, you have these players who already are in your squad, right? You all spoke about now Brian Gale. How do you all see him, kind of gelling with this squad? So if we had to go into our third segment of this video, and if we had to talk about your expectations for where you'll finish in the season, or, can you realistically finish in the top 4? And how that's going to happen, right? So out of the players you've signed, and Patrici seems to have moved a few bad players out, or is that with Nuno and Patrici and Levy together? Sissoko's and Auria's contracts terminated, Sissoko's out. They were deadwood to you, right? They weren't really doing much. I'm sure Ryan would have preferred Wings to have gone as well, right? But let's say, okay, so this is what you have right now, the players who've come in right now. What's your ideal starting lineup you want to see? And does this get you the top 4, or does it get you a trophy? Yes, no. So let's go with you, Alok, first. Give me your ideal squad with the players you have here. And then Ryan, you can both build on this together.
Yes, I think defense, both I think Ryan and I will agree that I think currently Romero and Dyer should play. I mean, I know I'll be really not really fair to Davinson Sanchez, because he has been excellent. But somehow that back three hasn't worked out for us well. But I think that Nuno will probably move to back three sooner or later, because that's his go-to strategy. If back four is not working for him, he probably moved, and you can see that from the kind of defense that we have built. So I think it goes to back three. Then of course Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, and Romero.
They brought in Emerson, I think, with that in mind.
Yes, definitely. And probably he will be able to take Doherty's abilities, be able to use his abilities more, because he's more of an offensive fullback than like a traditional defender. So probably Doherty coming into that part will be able to really create those spaces near the wing, and he has that knack of running into that box, that underlapping and going into the box and probably score a goal or two. So he has that ability. So Reguilon and Emerson Royal probably, and then Doherty switching in the cup games. Then I think I will midfield. I think Skip and Højbjerg like just choose themselves. We don't have any other option but to choose them for every game, and then probably Ndombele or Lo Celso, one of them to playing, because I don't want Dele to play in that number 10 role anymore, because he's just not effective there. He's just tad bit slow for me. He's not being able to make those through passes anymore. So I would rather put someone like Lo Celso or Ndombele there, since we are playing back three. And then front three, of course, Son, Moura, and I'm choosing Moura over Bergwijn at this point of time, because I need to see more from Bergwijn. He needs to work on his final product. So Moura, Son, and Kane up front.
Where do you all see Brian Gill coming into the squad, and how much of a part do you see him? Is he one for the future completely, or do you see him gelling into the squad into the 7th, 8th, 9th game week onwards?
I think he's going to be I expect Spurs to go far in the Conference League, and I think if Spurs go far in the Conference League, the player of the tournament will be Brian Gill. So I mean, that shows that he's going to be playing every Thursday and for the cup games, etc. But I want to see him get into that Premier League team, but I think you have to sort of give him that 6 months to a year, like when Dele Alli got sent back on loan to MK Dons. Brian Hill will have that time at Spurs. He'll sort of slowly break into that team, and I think next year will be a massive season for him.
So the starting 11, right? The optimistic starting 11, or the optimal starting 11 according to y'all, which you both have put together. Do you see the starting 11? Yes, there have been few good additions to this, right? Do you see the starting 11 making the top 4? Because it's a fight this season.
I don't think so. And that's not a comment on Spurs. We could have we could be very optimistic and very positive about the season, even if we had won the Crystal Palace game 3-0. I would have the same answer, simply because I mean, who comes out of the top 4? It's just there's a gulf now, and unfortunately, because of how we sacked Poch, and I think the crux of Spurs' problems in the last 2 years, and any problems we'll have in the next 2 years, will come back to the 17th November 2019, when we got rid of Poch prematurely, and by doing that, we put ourselves in a position that really rocked the Spurs boat, and we're in this position where on the other side of the gulf because of that. I don't see. Initially, again, before the Ronaldo transfer, I could have said maybe United. I don't trust Ole enough to get them top 4 when Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are so strong. But now with Ronaldo there, it's a whole different conversation. I mean, they're now in the conversation for the title. Forget top 4. So the only way I see Spurs getting top 4 is if Liverpool get injuries again, and Liverpool have that crucial month where Mane and Salah are not there due to the Africa Cup of Nations. But I don't think on our quality ourselves we'll get into that top 4, because the other teams are just far better. I think we'll come 5th though. I think we'll come ahead of Liverpool and West Ham.
Okay, 5th. Okay, well, it's not bad, like you said. With what you said, 5th would still be best of the rest of sort.
Yeah, I think 5th, and then I want us to win the Conference League, but being a Spurs fan, I know how it works. I know that we'll get to the final, and there'll be a team from Italy that's going to be standing in our way, and we're going to end up messing that one up.
Alok, your final thoughts?
Yes, I think I agree with Raihan. I mean, I think yesterday only we were having this conversation about Tottenham's chances in this season, and we both of us, we did not think that top 4 is gonna be possible this season. It's gonna be a miracle if we get into top 4 anyhow. And that's also because probably Liverpool missing out because of some reasons. Otherwise, I don't see any of these other, because it's clearly a 3-horse race currently for the title. Because of Ronaldo's signing, everything has changed. Earlier, I would have put Chelsea and City as the title. I mean, two teams going for the title. But Ronaldo is, because of the Ronaldo transfer, United is now right in the mix. So I don't see them missing out on top 4, of course. Then it's coming to the Liverpool side, and that's the only chance we get top 4. Top 5 or top 6, I don't know. I would like to see us 5th, but probably I'll be happy with top 6. At least one trophy, at least.
Yeah, I think now something, the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Conference League, whatever. I mean, I would like to see that, but if it came at the cost, like if we were in the top 4 race, then I would put those things on the back burner. But
Yeah.
I think we have a squad deep enough to go to the semi-finals, finals of the Conference League without really, having an impact on our league position. So I would expect one trophy and probably 5th place.
Interesting, guys. Looking at the way we've seen Nuno over the 2 years, at Wolves, and I always felt with a slightly better squad, he could do better in cup competition at least, right? I think with the Son and Kane, and a big if that both of them stay fit, right? Because they both tend to, it's always Kane who goes down first, Son picks up the mantle, does well for 4 weeks, and then he's gone as well, right? So I'm assuming if you get over those humps this year, I wouldn't be surprised with the kind of results Nuno gets, right? He'll be able to maneuver a cup win out of this squad. Which one, do not know. I think could definitely do a good job in the FA Cup if they give it a good shot, right? So there is some optimism there if you're a Spurs fan, only because of the quality and depth that Patrici has got. See, you could have gone for a Saul Niguez tomorrow, right? A Saul would be, with the price point that he was at, everyone's wondering why United never went for a Saul. Obviously, you saw him for Chelsea, he's in a very bad sort, right? But I think that's the kind of player Spurs would have gone for last season, maybe under Mourinho. I think a few wise choices have been made. So there is a little bit of optimism there. If you are a Spurs fan watching, these guys have a really realistic take on where Spurs have, or what they've done so far and where they're going. But thank you so much, guys, for doing this video. So we're going to do more of these, right? And Alok has apologized to all the Spurs fans for not being more prompt with this. I'm going to put this on Alok. But I'm only kidding, guys. It's very tough with the normal life now to get together and do these videos. But yeah, we'll be doing more of these and we'll be building on these videos, right? That's the whole point. We'll build on our conversations. So in the next one, we'll talk obviously more about how this impacts Harry Kane, right? Does he stay? Because I don't want to talk about Harry Kane in this video, right? We don't want to see, does he stay? And for him to stay, what do you need to achieve? You need to get those cup wins, right? So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Raihan. Thank you, Alok. And thank you for all the subscribers to this channel for tuning into our video. We'll be doing more of these very soon. Do let us know what you want us to talk about as well, if any segment that you like to talk about regularly, and we'll do that. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.